The call came while I was making her butterscotch pie. My hands were covered in flour, the kitchen smelled like burnt sugar and memories, and my phone wouldn't stop ringing. I almost didn't answer. I never did when I was cooking Mom's recipes. It felt like interrupting a prayer. But something made me wipe my hands and pick up. "Is this Lillian Chin?" The woman's voice was professional, excited. "This is Patricia Winters from the Food Network. We need to discuss your mother's recipes. Specifically, the ones being served at Bella's table in downtown Portland." The mixing bowl slipped from my hands, shattering on the floor. "My name is Lily, and I'm 29 years old. 2 years ago, I lost my mother to cancer. She left me 3 things: a cast-iron skillet older than I was, a wooden spoon worn smooth by her hands, and a leather-bound cookbook filled with recipes passed down through 5 generations of women who knew that food was love made tangible. That cookbook was my Bible, my photo album, my last conversation with her. Every stain told a story. Every note in her handwriting, 'Add extra vanilla when it rains,' Lily's favorite, 'double the chocolate,' was a message from beyond. 6 months ago, that cookbook disappeared. I'd torn my apartment apart, called everyone who'd been to the memorial service. Begged, pleaded, offered rewards. Nothing. It had vanished like smoke, taking with it the only pieces of my mother I had left. Now, standing in my destroyed kitchen, pie filling splattered across the floor like abstract art, I knew exactly where it had gone. "Bella's table?" My voice came out strangled. "That's my Aunt Isabella's restaurant. Yes, we're aware. She submitted several recipes for our America's Hidden Gems competition. Remarkable dishes. But our research team found some irregularities." I sank onto a stool, phone pressed to my ear like a lifeline. "What kind of irregularities?" "Ms. Chun, we take intellectual property very seriously. Our lawyers discovered a copyright registration from 1987 for a cookbook called Love Through Seasons by Margaret Chin." "That's your mother?" "Yes." The word barely made it past the lump in my throat. "Every single recipe your aunt submitted matches that cookbook. Word for word. Including the personal notes." The personal notes. Mom's little messages to me, to my grandmother, to the daughter she hoped I'd have someday. Isabella was serving my inheritance to strangers for $28 a plate. "We'd like to meet with you," Patricia continued. "Bring any documentation you have. This could be significant." After she hung up, I sat in my flour-dusted kitchen and remembered the last time I'd seen Isabella. It was at Mom's funeral, and she'd cornered me by the coffee urns. "Margaret would want the family business to thrive," she'd said, pressing too close, breath sour with wine. "I'm opening a restaurant. I could use someone with your connections to her recipes." "They're not just recipes," I'd told her. "They're memories." She'd laughed, that harsh sound like breaking glass. "Memories don't pay bills, sweetheart. Your mother understood that. She would have wanted her food to live on. In my kitchen. In my family. Not in some restaurant." Isabella's face had twisted then, showing the bitter core she usually sugared over. "Your family? You're not even married. No children. What family? Those recipes will die with you, just like they should have died with her." I'd walked away, but not before I saw her eyeing the cookbook in my bag. I should have known. Should have guarded it better. But grief makes you stupid, and I'd trusted blood because Mom always said family was everything. Mom was wrong about that. Family was just the first to know where to stick the knife. The meeting with Food Network happened 2 days later in a gleaming conference room that smelled like leather and litigation. I brought everything. Mom's handwritten while mentioning the cookbook, photos of her teaching me to cook, dated videos of us making Chinese New Year dinner using those exact recipes. Patricia Winters sat across from me with 2 lawyers and a woman who introduced herself as a culinary historian. "Your aunt's restaurant has become quite successful," Patricia said, sliding a folder across the table. "She's been featured in Portland Monthly, Oregon Life. Always the same story, how she's honoring her late sister by sharing family recipes." I opened the folder and nearly vomited. There was Isabella, smiling in her chef's whites, holding my mother's cookbook. The actual cookbook, displayed like a trophy. The article was titled "Keeping Love Alive Through Food." She claims Margaret gave her the recipes before she died, one lawyer said. Said she wanted them to reach a wider audience. My mother could barely speak at the end. She certainly wasn't giving away recipes. I traced the photo with shaking fingers. "Look at the bookmark. Page 47. That's her butterscotch pie recipe. She made it for my birthday every year. Isabella knows that." "We know." Patricia's voice gentled. We also know your aunt filed an LLC 3 days after your mother's funeral. She trademarked the restaurant name Bella's Table. Recipes from the heart a week later. The timeline is suspicious. What do you want from me? Justice, the historian said quietly. And your mother's story. The real one. They explained their plan. The competition Isabella had entered was huge. A $100,000 prize and a cookbook deal. She'd made it to the finals, was scheduled to prepare a 5-course meal on live television next month. 2 million viewers would watch her cook my mother's food while telling lies about their relationship. We want to expose her, Patricia said. But we need your help. And we need you to be ready for what comes after. I thought about Mom's last days. How she'd worried about leaving me alone. How she'd pressed that cookbook into my hands and whispered, "Everything I am is in here. Keep it safe. Keep it alive." I'd failed at one of those promises. I wouldn't fail at the other. What do you need me to do? The plan was elegant in its simplicity. Food Network's legal team verified the copyright, confirmed the theft. But instead of a lawsuit, they wanted poetic justice. Isabella would cook on live TV, not knowing that I'd be there too. Not knowing that every dish she'd stolen had a story she couldn't tell. I spent 3 weeks preparing. Practiced Mom's recipes until I could make them blindfolded. Studied videos of Isabella's cooking, noting every shortcut she took, every change she made that proved she didn't understand the why behind the what. She used chicken stock in the dumpling filling. Mom used pork bone broth simmered for exactly 6 hours. She added soy sauce to the butterscotch pie. Mom would have cried. She renamed Mom's love letter wontons as Bella's pillows of joy. I threw up when I read that. The night before filming, I couldn't sleep. I sat in my kitchen, running my fingers over Mom's cast iron skillet, and talked to her. "I'm scared," I whispered. "What if I mess up? What if no one believes me?" The skillet was warm, though I hadn't used it. Maybe grief makes you imagine things. Maybe love does too. The studio was overwhelming. Cameras everywhere, audience seats filled with food lovers who'd paid premium prices to watch the competition. Isabella was already there, prepping in her designated kitchen, her sous chefs arranging ingredients. She'd dyed her hair blonde, lost weight, wore makeup that made her look like a softer, kinder version of herself. Playing the grieving sister honoring family memory. I waited in the green room, my mother's actual cookbook in my hands. The producers had recovered it from Isabella's restaurant as evidence. Its pages smelled like her kitchen, like 5-spice and vanilla and home. "Lillian," Patricia appeared in the doorway. "It's time." The host was explaining the format when I walked onto the set. Isabella glanced up, annoyed at the interruption. Then she saw me. The blood drained from her face so fast I thought she might faint. "Ladies and gentlemen," the host announced, "a surprise addition to tonight's competition. Lillian Chun, daughter of the late Margaret Chun, whose recipes have made Bella's Table famous." The audience murmured. Isabella's hands shook as she gripped her knife. "It seems we have a family cooking challenge," the host continued, his smile sharp. "Both women will prepare the same 5-course meal. May the best chef win." "This is ambush," Isabella hissed. "I'll sue. With what grounds?" I asked calmly. "I'm just cooking my mother's recipes. The ones you said she gave you. Surely you won't mind some friendly competition." The cameras rolled. We cooked. Isabella was technically proficient, I'd give her that. Her knife work was clean, her plating restaurant perfect. But she didn't know the stories. Didn't understand that the wontons were folded into butterflies because Mom had Release's butterflies at her own mother's funeral. Didn't know the pie crust needed exactly 17 folds, because that's how old Mom was when she learned to bake. I cooked like Mom was beside me, guiding my hands. I told the stories as I worked, my mic picking up every word. This broth has to simmer for 6 hours because that's how long my grandmother's labor was with my mother. She started it when contractions began and finished it after Mom was born. First taste of the world was this soup. The audience leaned forward. Isabella's movements grew frantic. The butterfly fold on these wontons? Mom created it after her mother died. Said memories needed wings to reach heaven. She made these every year on the anniversary, and now I do too. By the 3rd course, Isabella was falling apart. She'd added ingredients that weren't in the recipes, trying to elevate them. The judges noticed. "Interesting addition of truffle oil," one said carefully. "Very modern." "My sister loved innovation," Isabella said desperately. "She would have wanted." "Actually," I interrupted, "Mom hated truffle oil. Said it tasted like dirt and pretension." The audience laughed. Isabella's face went red. The final course was the butterscotch pie. Isabella's looked perfect, golden crust, pristine presentation. Mine had a crack across the top because I'd traced Mom's initials in the sugar before torching it, just like she always did. Why soy sauce and butterscotch? A judge asked Isabella. It's umami. Adds depth. Mom was allergic to soy, I said quietly. Deathly allergic. It's written on every page of her cookbook. No soy ever. Love you, Lily Bean. Isabella's pie clattered to the floor. The judging was a formality, but the real moment came when Patricia brought out Mom's cookbook and the copyright papers. Isabella Hong. The host's voice had lost all warmth. You've built a restaurant empire on stolen recipes. Recipes copyrighted by your deceased sister. Recipes that were meant for her daughter. What do you have to say? Isabella looked at me with such hatred it could have curdled milk. Then she smiled, that same toxic sweetness from the funeral. Family recipes belong to the family. I'm family. No, I said, standing straighter than I had in 2 years. You're a thief who capitalized on my mother's death. Family doesn't steal. Family doesn't lie. Family doesn't take the last pieces of someone's mother and sell them to strangers. Dead people don't own recipes. Isabella screamed, finally showing her true face to the cameras. Margaret is gone. Gone. Why should her precious recipes rot with her ungrateful daughter when I could make them profitable? Because they were never about profit. I held up Mom's cookbook, showing the camera her handwritten notes. Look, for Lily on her wedding day. Make this when the babies come. Remember to teach them to fold the butterflies. These weren't just recipes. They were her love letters to my future. And you stole them. Security had to escort Isabella out. She was still screaming about lawsuits and family loyalty, and how I'd ruined everything. The aftermath was swift. The Food Network aired the episode as a special exposé. Isabella's restaurant closed within a month. Turns out customers don't like eating stolen memories. She tried to sue me, but it's hard to win when you're on camera admitting to theft. I won the competition, but I donated the prize money to cancer research in Mom's name. The cookbook deal? I took it, but with conditions. Half the proceeds go to culinary scholarships for young women. Every recipe includes the full story, and Isabella's name appears nowhere in it. The book comes out next month. It's called Love Letters and Recipes, A Daughter's Journey Home. I still cook Mom's food every day. Still smell her in the steam rising from soup. Still hear her laugh when I burn the wontons because I'm talking instead of watching. But now I also teach. I have a small cooking school where I share the recipes properly, with their stories intact. My students learn that food isn't just ingredients and technique. It's history. It's culture. It's love that transcends death. Last week, a young woman stayed after class, crying. My mom died last year, she whispered. I have her recipes, but I'm scared to cook them. What if I forget? What if they don't taste right? I hugged her the way Mom would have hugged me. Cook them anyway, I said. Cook them wrong. Cook them crying. Cook them angry. But cook them. Because every time you do, she's there in the steam and the sizzle and the memories. And that's how we keep them alive. She nodded and left with determination in her eyes. That night, I made butterscotch pie. The crack across the top was perfect, Mom's initials clear in the caramelized sugar. I ate it alone in my kitchen, but I wasn't lonely. Because Isabella was wrong. Dead people do own recipes. They own them in every bite that brings back Sunday dinners. In every smell that transports you to childhood. In every dish that says, I love you, in languages that need no words. Mom's recipes are mine now. Not because of copyright or blood or legal documents. Because I'm the one who understands that the secret ingredient was never written down. It was always love. And that's something you can't steal, can't sell, can't trademark. You can only give it away, one plate at a time, to people who understand that the best meals feed more than the body. They feed the soul. And somewhere, in the steam rising from her soup, I swear I can hear Mom laughing. That's my girl, she whispers. Now extra vanilla, Lily Bean. It's raining.